Yeah, hi everybody, Dr. Jason W. Morrison, Theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Would you please turn with me to Genesis chapter 19, Sodom's depravity. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. Now, there's a bit of a mystery to Lot because we're not quite sure why Abraham took Lot with him. Let's just have a look back in Genesis chapter 12. I think in a way this could possibly be a message to a lot of religious people today. Now the Lord had said to Abram, get out of your country, and possibly get out of your religious organization, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, I will curse him who curses you, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Now, that's a pretty big promise, isn't it? You're getting told to leave your family, not in a shunning aspect, but in a progressive aspect. Sometimes it's good for children to separate from their parents for a time, to be able to develop and mature and construct their personality and character in a world that's not going to nurture them or spoil them or maybe even abuse them. If we go on a little bit further here, we're going to find something interesting. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. Now, why did Lot go with him? He was told to leave everybody behind, wasn't he? He was specifically told, look, get out of your country and from your family and from your father's house. But he's taken Lot with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abraham took Sarah his wife and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and so on and so forth. So there's a bit of a mystery behind why Abraham took Lot. Well, to cut a long story short, Abraham's been negotiating with the Lord as to what he should do with Sodom, because the Lord wanted to destroy it, Jehovah wanted to destroy it due to depravity, and Abraham was concerned about Lot, because Lot was dwelling in that land. Lot became actually a thorn in the side of Abraham, believe it or not. And just bear with me for 1 minute. And verse 1, now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. So Lot's now wayward. He's sitting in the gate of the place. He's like an elder of that place. When Lot saw them, he arose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Hear now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night, and wash your feet, then you may rise early and go on your way. And they said, No. And this is something we need to recognize. Just because people are sitting in the gate and they're giving us all sorts of, wonderful direction and all this other stuff, doesn't mean we have to do or believe everything they say. They can come across humbly. Look, your life is something you're responsible for. You're responsible for how your life goes, not anybody else. I can remember the organisation that I was with would make out they were religious, like fathers, spiritual fathers, but to be honest with you, for me, that didn't work. That just didn't work because it wasn't progressive. So they've said no, but we will spend the night in the open. They wanted nothing to do with it, in the open square. We're going to be transparent. He insisted strongly. And this is where you have to be aware. These people won't relent. They want to have influence over you. They want to keep you in their direction, not yours. So they turned into him and entered his house, and he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally. They wanted to abuse them, sexually abuse them. So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, Please, my brethren. Now, Lot's obviously became one of these people but not in a depraved way. He's now a part of the community and everything, and he has a rapport, obviously tremendous influence, and he says, please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. See now, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof. Now, listen for a minute. Please listen. Really, listen. This Lot character was willing. Now listen for a minute, please. This Lot character was willing to give up his daughter's welfare to please the people that were doing wrong. This person, Lot, was willing to allow his daughters to be seriously, harmfully abused to stay in good stead with the evil people. I just want you to think about that for a minute. Lot, who was high in that community, was prepared and did let his 2 daughters be sexually abused harmfully by wicked people because he didn't want to confront an issue that he could have resolved. And this is what's happening in religion today. This is what's happening. Let's go back to the verses. And they said, stand back. Then they said, this one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. So they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near to break down the door. Now, you might leave your organisation, and guess what? The next thing you know, you've got elders coming around knocking on the door, following up, why have you left, trying to put pressure on, and you're scared, and you're fearful, and you're confused. Deal with the issue. Just say, I'm not coming back. But then the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house. This is the 2 people from the Lord. And shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness. So they obviously had supernatural power, both small and great. So they became weary trying to find the door. They couldn't find their way. Now, this happens to a lot of us. We get to a point where we're trying to find our way in our religious organisation, but something just ain't letting us. We're not evil people like these ones here, but I'm just giving you an example of this. Sometimes we don't listen to what our mind is telling us, to the alarm bells, to the alerts. So let's read on, shall we? Then the man said to Lot, have you anyone else here? Son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city. This is the people from the Lord. Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. Now, this is what I want to say to you. They're given an option, stay or leave. Stay and be destroyed, leave and be saved. I want to say to you today, honestly, if you're not sure about the organisation you're in, and you're trying to serve the Lord and all the rest of it, why are you staying? If there's something in your mind giving you alarm bells, saying to you, I just don't feel right, that doesn't sound right, I know something's been done that's wrong, it hasn't been resolved, I know this ain't right, I know that ain't right. You get taught in these religious places to have a blind eye, to, if you confront something, you're going to be out anyway. So you're never going to get to the truth. You're never going to get into a position where it's harmonious unless you start numbing yourself. Now, am I being critical of these places? No, it's just the way it is. You're dealing with dysfunctional people in all the time. We're all dysfunctional to some extent. But where do you get to the place where you can have your life on track without any religious overtones in it? let's go back to the verses, shall we? What is it going to take for you, and I'm asking you, to be honest with yourself? Because everything's all right with the Lord. All your religious issues were resolved in Christ. So what is it going to take for you to be honest to yourself? Let's go back to this verse, shall we? You know something's not right. So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-laws, who had married his daughters. Lovely, isn't it? I'm surprised they didn't bash him up if they got wind of what he was going to do, and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But to his sons-in-laws he seemed to be joking. And this is an interesting part, isn't it? Too often we say to ourselves in very serious situations that this must be a joke. It's not real. Something in the back of our mind stops us from admitting to ourselves that this is something that I need to get away from. And I want you to come with me. We've got to get away from this. And it's not a joke. It is not a joke. Religious organizations have tremendous influence over people against their own better judgment. Please listen to what I'm saying. They thought he was joking. Oh my goodness, he wasn't joking. He was going to put their wives out to the molesters. Can you see the type of character that Lot is? When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of this city." Now, a lot of people, excuse me, wonder why Lot's wife looked back. But you just think for a minute. She would have heard Lot when he was going to give her daughters to these molesting men. How many of you wives are asking questions about your husband's behavior, but don't, and have had arguments, but just go along because you've been told by your religion that that's what you have to do? It's not what you have to do. You have to be true to yourself and to your children. And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him. Now, excuse me. People won't speak about religious organisations the way I am today, but I don't care, because I've been in as far as you can go and seen where it can go. And you just get left standing there on your own in the end. Now, could this be the Lord being merciful to you, trying to bring you out of something that you don't need to be in, that's just wasting your time and leading to destruction? So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, that he said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed." Now, I know for a fact that some of you people, some of you listeners, have been in and may have relatives that are stuck in a situation like this, and they just won't come out. You're reaching your hand out, you're trying to get them out, you're trying to help them, but they just can't find their way out. It's terrible, isn't it? Let's just have another look here, please. So then Lot said to them, "Please know, my lords, indeed now your servant has found favour in your sight." You talk about stubborn. This is that religious stubbornness that we have in our minds. "And you have increased your mercy, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die." So this guy was paranoid schizophrenic. This guy was one of these people where the wicked flees when no one pursues. And that's why he was stuck in a destructive environment. That's why he was stuck. He was frightened and told that it was worse out there than what it is in here. Jehovah Witnesses, I've said it now, the Jehovah Witnesses, they get told that the world out there is worse than what they have in there, but it's all the same. The problem is, if you reduce yourself to an organisation, then you're at the mercy of that organisation. Me personally, I'd rather be at the mercy of the world I live in, not the mercy of what people tell me to do in a religious structure. You see, we become too dependent on religious organisations and we lose our identity. Whereas these places are supposed to give us our identity and our strength and empower us. But they don't. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't, because there's too much self-interest. He says, but I cannot escape to the mountains lest some evil overtakes me and I die. The world isn't evil. It has evil in it, but you don't have to be caught up in that. See now, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Please let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. See, sometimes when we're in a situation that we need to get out of, we just need to find something that's comfortable and quiet and sensible for us to recover. And he said to him, see, I've found favour you concerning this thing also, in that I will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there. And so on and so forth. The city was called Zoar. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to find out what Zoar means. Yeah, Zoar means little and small. Remember, Lot said, I want to go to that little and small place? Good boy. Then the sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. It's lovely, isn't it? What's going on here? So he overthrew those cities and all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And this was my point today. Don't look back. Do not look back. Make up your mind as a flint. Say, I've had enough of this. I'm getting out. I've seen too much. Too much has happened. Too much is being done. There's too many lies. There's too much corruption. Yeah, it all seems good on the surface, but underneath, I can't do this. Look forward and become a pillar of salt. There you are. Go forward and become a pillar of salt. I'll show you why, and then we'll close. Now, I just want to say we can become prideful when we start to hear things like we are the salt of the earth and all this, and we can become very self-centered. But we shouldn't do that, should we? Jesus saying this. Matthew 5 verse 13. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavour, which is what happened to Lot's wife really, she lost her flavour. She lost her confidence in Lot. How shall it be seasoned? Now what you'll find when you're starting to realise things are wrong, you're going to lose confidence in people. But they're going to want you to turn into a pillar of salt. That's the message, see? They're going to want you to turn into a pillar of salt. But that's okay, because you're going to become the salt of salt. You're going to become good salt, not a pillar of salt, because you're the salt of the earth, because of Jesus, because of the Lord Jesus Christ. But if the salt loses its flavour, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. What you'll find is things start off looking real nice and salty, but then when the influence and the trouble starts, the flavour wears off. You've got to be aware of that. You've got to be awake to that. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Now, I just want to say this, and I'm going to close. And that'll be 20 minutes. The governing body's new light and all that, everything you need to know about the Bible is already out. There's no new light and understanding. What they're trying to do is navigate around their deceptions and their lies to keep people comfortable, even though they're not, even though they're worried, they're concerned, they're being confronted on the streets, there's information that they're refusing to look at because they know it's going to make them uncomfortable. Become a pillar of salt, but not one like Lot's wife. Become one that's the salt of the earth. Get out and share your story. Do your research. This is the key. If you do your research, you're going to keep your flavour up. But you've got to do critical research, broad research, not confined to a single organisation's beliefs. because you'll never get to the truth of that. Look, I hope you've enjoyed what I've shared about Abraham having to get out, but he took Lot with him. Get rid of your Lot. Chuck him out and get on and find your personal identity and power, which is what you should have had in the first place, and get back down to where you should be individually, doing the things you like. You might be depressed. Depression is something that stops you from doing things that you like to do. Depression is something that stops you, and this is a warning sign of depression, from doing things that you want to do. So how depressed are you? You might just have to stop and collect yourself, go to a small city, go to a small place in yourself, right? Not out in wherever. In a nice quiet place where you can assess yourself and begin to rebuild yourself. Deal with the issues that are inside you. And set yourself free. Now it's a journey. I can tell you, a religious organization can take 10, 15 years out of your life and you won't even realize. So begin to assess yourself. Deal with the signals and warning signs in your mind that have been sent to you by yourself, within yourself, and begin to listen. And that's how you're going to find your freedom, because everything is all right between you and God because of Jesus. This is Dr. Jason W. Morris, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening, and bye for now. Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.